How do you justify spending even more money on SAA while having to cut grants?
Is that a question to me?
Yes, Governor.
Okay. Well, there's no allocation in this budget for SAA. And we have not cut social grants. So the question doesn't apply really. Now we've said that SAA has made a request of rather the business rescue practitioner has made a request of some 3.5 billion rand. That still has to be interrogated to check the veracity of the request. And as such, the answer to your question is that we have not come to that stage yet. But in this budget, in year, there's no provision for SAA. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Minister. We've also got a question from Miriam Issa. She's from Finway. Can you tell us whether you will decrease the amounts sold at weekly bond auctions and by how much? I think our colleague Tshepiso Moahlodi is on the line. Should be able to assist us with that question.
Yes, I mean, all depends on the program that we're going to put in place. I mean, there's a program that the asset and liability management folks normally follow, and depending on how they spread out the auctions, that will depend on that. But I can hand over to Tshepiso, who is an expert on this matter. Tshepiso? No. Tshepiso? Okay, we'll come back to Tshepiso, but for now, I think that's the preliminary answer I can give you, unless if Governor Khanyo wants to say anything more educated than what I've said. No. Okay.
Thank you very much, Minister. We've got another question from Heidi Jokos. She's from ENCA. Please explain to us if Eskom has gotten new money allocated in this budget.
Gigi? Unmute.
Thank you very much. We've increased the expenditure ceiling. Essentially, what we are doing is to make provision for the vaccine in particular, and the pressure that comes with that. So yes, but what we are doing, we're also trying to make sure that as we do that, as we said this afternoon, we want to do that in a very responsible manner, in a way that we recognize that debt is maintained at particular levels, 88.5%, as we said in 24-25, and we also want to ensure that we boost productive sectors of the economy, as you said. So yes, but essentially for vaccine rollout. Thanks.
Thank you very much, DG.
There was another question too about whether there's been any allocation to Eskom in year. Now, DG might wish to deal with that, or Tshepiso, when she comes on board later, could deal with that. But if you look in the book, in terms of the allocations made, really there's been no substantive request from Eskom, so I think there should be no misunderstanding there.
Thank you very much, Minister. We've also got another question from Thando Maeko. She's addressing this question to Treasury officials. Why has the Treasury and the DPE been chosen to pilot the zero-based budgeting approach?
Mampo?
Thanks, Minister. I hope you can hear me. Basically, we just chose the National Treasury and DPE because they are not too big of departments, and we think that piloting in smaller departments will give us enough ammunition to implement this for the rest of the government. But if you're piloting with the departments such as basic education or home affairs, it's too big of a department and it has a lot of programs. So the pilot might take longer than what we want. So the choice of these two departments is that they're small enough for us to actually test the spending review process and the ZBP process so that we can implement for the rest of government. We are aware that looking at these two departments will not give us sufficient information, but I think it's good enough of a first start to implement throughout the whole of government. We are aware that we will need to differentiate between policy department as well as service delivery departments, but we think these two will give us enough ammunition to see whether we can be successful in implementing ZBP across the state.
Thank you very much, Mampo. We've also got a question from Janice Roberts from Money Market. You have penciled in an increase in grants below inflation, which seems politically challenging. Why have you done this, and what are the chances of this being revised into a larger increase?
Mampo,
Thanks, Minister. So basically, when we looked at the overall fiscal consolidation, we couldn't really protect the social grants. If you look at the past budget reductions since 2012, we did the best that we could to protect the social grants, but now the amount of consolidation that was required was much more than what we could basically protect the social grants. So it is, yes, we agree, it is below inflation, but remember, these are the years where we really have to consolidate. To review the social grants, we will have to do it at a point where the fiscal or the debt trajectory is now more stable. But if we look at the increases, at least there's still an increase. So we did try to make sure that there is some increase in the social grants rather than not increasing the nominal value at all. But we are faced with the challenge of fiscal consolidation. And because of the magnitude of the budget consolidation that we needed, we couldn't protect social services. So the increases that you see, yes, we agree they're small, but at least there is an increase in the social grants. And once we have the debt, as I said, once we have the debt under control, we can consider firstly, how do we then going forward look at social grants? But this is purely because we needed fiscal consolidation. And as you would have seen in the numbers, our debt trajectory was not looking so well.
Now, the political answer to that is that there's no need to be apologetic about it. There's no need to be apologetic. There is no social contract that says every year there must be X amount increase. So there's no need to be apologetic at all. And that's the allocations that were made is what we could afford. Overall, I mean, if you look at social services, they occupy about 56% of the allocations. That's quite substantial in a country like ours, given the nature of the budget. So no, there's nothing to be apologetic about. No, there isn't. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Minister. I'll just quickly go to the chat. This one is from Mfuneko Toyana. What is the status of talks over a loan from the World Bank?
The conversations with the World Bank have to do with the fact that we had set ourselves a target of plus minus $7 billion for our borrowings from the international financial institutions, i.e. the BRICS Bank, the African Development Bank, the IMF, and the World Bank. The conversations with the World Bank were initially very difficult. and were bordering on the imposition of conditionalities. As you know, we're very allergic to conditionalities and therefore could not accede to their conditions, and we had a long conversation, so we had to push back. Eventually, the World Bank had us and began to develop a new stream through which we could access a loan from the bank. So conversations will continue until we reach some understanding. But if we don't, we really have no ex-ante obligation to borrow from the World Bank. But I think we'll probably find each other and in conversations with the World Bank. That's where I can leave it. Mashud.
Thank you very much, Minister. Another question, this is from Carol Payton. The term of the Zondo Commission has been extended. Do you, as the Minister, feel assured that there is enough funding to pay the investigators and the legal team, or is this just left up to the Department of Justice?
Well, thank you very much. We made it very clear when we extended the 63 million rand to the Commission of Inquiry into State Capture that as far as we were concerned, that was the amount that they must use to finish their work and close out and finish. This perpetual extension of the inquiry into state capture, it's not really conducive. They must finish their work. In fact, their work, in my view, is much less than the work that was being done by the Commission of Inquiry into the Public Investment Corporation. And the Commission of Inquiry into the Public Investment Corporation has concluded, and this one just keeps going on and on. It must end at some stage. So unless if DG has anything to say, I don't think I'm going to sign up on another tranche of cash to the State Capture Commission. They must finish their work.